What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Room. But having a healthy mind is priority, man. First and foremost, I want to apologize for taking a week off. I was a little sick. Thank God it wasn't COVID. Today is the first episode of 2021. We're going to do it a little different. I want y'all to walk with me. Alright, today's topic for today's episode is growth. Now, I know a lot of y'all hear me talk about the same thing. If you want the body you want, you gotta go to the gym, you have to do the work. It's the same thing with the mind. A lot of people's not really comfortable talking to a therapist. Sometimes your doctor might not even say anything's wrong with you. That doesn't mean there is, it doesn't mean there isn't. The only thing that means is you gotta take the time to look at yourself. So that's the whole point of growth. You could go to therapy, you could say you're healed, you could go through your relationships, you could go through your breakups. Until you stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself, are you really healed? That's the question that a lot of people stand to ask themselves. If you can't stand in front of the mirror and face the problems that you deal with every single day, are you really healed? Now look at me for an example. I done talked about this in a few videos. I was an angry person. Of course we broke down where it comes from, but it doesn't matter. When anger is anger, it can get a little crazy. So let's say somebody asks you a question, and let's say you have childhood trauma against your parents, your siblings, whatever. Somebody asks you a question and you get upset. That's the number one clue right there. You're not healed, you're not over it, you're not forgiving, you're still dealing with it. So going back to growth and standing in front of the mirror, that's exactly what you have to face. So everybody watching this right now, I just want two things from y'all. Just two things, nothing crazy. Stand in front of the mirror, write down 5 questions to ask yourself. The first question should be, are you really healed? That should be the first honest question. And don't say it in a way to, where you want to answer it real quick and make yourself feel good. Really dig deep. If you're single right now, really ask yourself a question. Why are you single? I know a lot of people like to say, I don't really need a relationship right now. I'm happy with myself. And not saying all of that isn't true. But if it's not true, you have to be honest with yourself and give yourself that honest answer. Number 2, what are you willing to do to get out of your situation? Whether you're still living at home with your parents, whether you're roommates with a friend, whether you at a job right now that you really don't like. Are you going to deal with it just because it pays the bills? Is it convenient? Is it easy right now? Or are you going to do what's necessary to get yourself out of the situation and put yourself in a better situation, the situation that you want to be in? That's number 2 right there. Number 3, which is super, super important, is why. A lot of the times, things that happen in life requires that exact hard question, which is why. And I've also said this in a previous video before too. If you look on the news right now and someone gets convicted for, let's say, murdering 4 people, you probably want that person to get the death sentence. You don't want to really hear too much about it. You want that person dead. But what if I told you that everybody has a story, and if you ask why, you'll find out the answer? Now, I'm not saying you're going to like the answer, but everybody has a why. Even the sick murderer that probably lives next door to you. Everybody has a why. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. Everybody has a why. So stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself, why? If you're not happy, why? Don't just wake up and say, I'm not happy, and then walk throughout the day just angry, not caring about nothing. Try to figure out why you're angry. What messed with you the minute that you woke up? What messed with you before you went to sleep? If you're around certain people and the energy isn't right, why is the energy not right? Should you be around those people? Should you not be around those people? Why is a very, very important question. Now, number 4 is another important question, but that's really more of a self-reflection. So after why is how. I don't need to go too much deep into how. That should be self-explanatory. How are you going to start to do the things you need to do to get out of your situation? What I do is I have a dry eraser board. I write down a list of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5. Let's say if I want a brand new car, that's where I start. 5 steps of how I'm going to get this car. If I want a bigger apartment, 5 steps on how I'm going to obtain that bigger apartment. If I want a new job, a better job, how am I going to do that? If I want this video quality to go up, how am I going to do that? If I want to drop more episodes, if I want to talk more, how am I going to do that? Very, very important, the whys and the hows. Number 5 is probably the most important one out of everything. And it's not a question. It's more of a motivation tactic. Now that you know why you're in the situation that you're in, now that you know how you're going to get out of the situation, now that you stood in front of the mirror, asked yourself about your trauma, whatever that may be, now it's doing it. Simple as that. Nike says, just do it. That's exactly what it is. Just do it. If I sat down and talked about me wanting to do the show, which happened before, if I just sat down and talked about me wanting to do the show, having all these ideas, having different conversations, talking to different people for months on end, but I never do it, then what's the point of it? It's just an idea that's sitting there. If I wanted to go to the studio and just had hopes of dropping an album but never did it, then I'm not really doing the work. I'm just speaking ideas, I'm just talking out my ass, so to speak. Nothing's really happening. So that's why that last one is important. You can have the how, you can have the hows, you can have the whys. You can know exactly why you're in the situation you're in. You can know the trauma that you dealt with. You can know everything. Why you're angry and just the energies. You could be self-aware of everything. But if you're still sitting on your ass, it's not gonna work. So that's why that's the most important one. Now is just to do it. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. If you go to the gym, just like I said before, you go to the gym, you want a 6-pack. If you eat a bunch of food you're not supposed to eat and lay on your ass all day, you're not gonna get that 6-pack. Wanna know why? Because you're not doing the work. So just because you know how to do the work, just because you know why the work needs to be done, just because you stood in front of the mirror and asked yourself all of the hard questions, now it's up to you to get up and actually do it. I never talked to a therapist. Not saying there's anything bad with it. I always promote it. If you guys want somebody to talk to that you trust, and you have that person in your life, then go for it 100%. Me, I picked up a book and just decided to really, really learn about myself, take myself through a journey, and that's how I came up with this, to see if I could try my best to help you guys. I can't do it if you're not doing the work. A lot of people look for somebody to be that motivation factor, whether it's picking up the phone and speaking to them, whether it's whatever it is. Some people have that friend, some people have that family member. But for those who tend to be by themselves most of the time, that's when you gotta find that inner inspiration. My inner inspiration is my one. I want a bigger apartment. I want a better car. I want to be in a better life. I want to be able to help more. So that's why I do the things I do. I try my best to not sit down, to just not be stagnant for too long. Because if you're not moving, that's exactly what you're doing. You're not moving. So let's go through everything once again. Stand in front of the mirror. You're gonna feel crazy, but just stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself those hard questions. If you woke up mad, why did I wake up mad? Let me go through my night. Let me see what happened. If there's a certain energy not really right in the air around people that you're used to being around, and figure out why that is. Maybe you need to separate yourself from them people. Ask yourself the whys and the how. Why are you in your situation if you're not happy in your situation? How did you end up in your situation if you're not happy in that situation? And now it's doing what's necessary to get out of it. I know how I am when I do these episodes by myself. I don't like to be too long-winded, man. I am Desmond Bonet. This was an official first episode of 2021. This is The Room. We're having a healthy mind. is priority. Just like everything else, all links will be down in the description below. You guys can check out my podcast on a separate channel. I do have a big announcement coming very, very soon. Let's do the work, man. It's 2021. We lost a lot of people in 2020. It doesn't seem like it's ending. So that should be more of enough reason why you shouldn't be sitting down. So let's get up. Let's work. Let's do what we need to do. And in the words of Loaded Lux, let's get healthy.